The sun hung high over the quiet cul-de-sac of Cotton Ridge, Arizona, the kind of late afternoon light that made even the dust seem golden. On the porch of a modest adobe home with white trim and faded wind chimes, an elderly woman named Lucille Garrison rocked gently in her chair. She was blind, had been for over a decade, but her posture held dignity, her spine straight as a ruler, her cardigan draped neatly over her shoulders. A tiny American flag pin glinted on her chest just above the hand-sewn roses on her blouse. Lucille couldn't see the flowers she'd planted in pots along the steps, but she remembered each one. She could still smell the lavender, still feel the soft bristles of the sage leaves. The birdsongs told her it was around 3 o'clock. Her favorite gospel station was playing Amazing Grace as it did every weekday, a routine she rarely missed. Her world had gotten smaller over the years, but this porch, this chair, this melody, this was her sanctuary. Inside the house, her 17-year-old grandson, Carter, poured a glass of iced tea and leaned on the kitchen counter. He had headphones slung around his neck, half listening to a podcast, when he heard the gravel crunch on her tires. It wasn't the usual delivery van. Something about the rhythm of the wheels slow, deliberate made him look out the window. A black SUV sat idling at the curb. No plates, no insignia, tinted windows. He squinted as 2 men stepped out. Both wore rigid black uniforms with HOA enforcement unit emblazoned across their chests in thick white letters. No badges, no names, just black gloves, mirrored sunglasses, and the kind of walk that screamed power unearned. Carter's stomach clenched. He didn't know why, but something felt wrong. He cracked open the door slightly, but stayed behind it, watching. The men marched directly up the walkway like they owned the place. They didn't knock. They didn't greet. They didn't ask. The taller of the two, a bald man with a square jaw and tactical gloves, stood over Lucille and barked. "You're in violation of HOA Article 5.2. Unauthorized objects on front-facing property." Lucille turned her head toward the voice, confused but gentle. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm blind, sir." He sneered. "You were warned. The flag, the pots, the chair. This is final notice." "I didn't get any warning," she said, genuinely confused. "I can't read signs." The second man, younger, leaner, cut her off. "Maybe you'll understand this." Then he shoved her. It wasn't a nudge. It was a shove. A hard, calculated motion. His hand struck her chest, and the rocker flew back. Lucille's arms flailed, her body twisting as the chair teetered over the edge of the porch. Her head struck the railing with a dull crack. She crumpled on the brick below, motionless for a moment before trembling. Carter didn't remember opening the door. He only remembered sprinting across the living room and down the steps, his shoes slamming against concrete. "Grandma!" he yelled, falling to his knees beside her. Blood traced a line down her temple. One arm was twisted under her. "Why?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Why did they?" The taller man looked down without a hint of remorse. "Non-compliance," he said. "You resist, you suffer. You better get back inside, kid," the younger one snapped. "This doesn't concern you." That's when the porch creaked behind them. A shadow fell over the steps. A pair of combat boots stepped into the light. Carter looked up. Uncle Miles Garrison stood in the doorway. He wore an old olive-drab Marine Corps t-shirt, tight at the sleeves, faded at the seams. His jaw was set, his shoulders square. And behind him, silent but focused, stood Bertucci's retired military K9, a German shepherd with golden eyes and a posture that warned, "I'm not here to play." Miles didn't speak. He didn't have to. He looked down at his mother, then at Carter. He saw the blood. He saw the twisted wrist. He saw the 2 strangers standing on his family's porch like executioners. Then he gave a single command. "Brutus, front." The dog growled low and deadly. The taller man instinctively took a step back. "Sir, this is HOA business." "You just laid hands on a blind woman," Miles said, his voice like steel dragged across stone. "That woman is my mother." The words didn't rise in pitch. They dropped like lead. Brutus snarled again. There is no HOA in Cotton Ridge, Miles added. The younger man stammered. We're subcontracted enforcement under Section 7.3. You're trespassing, Miles interrupted. No IDs. No marked car. No warrant. And you just assaulted a disabled senior. The taller man tried to puff his chest. Look, we were doing our job. She resisted. She's blind, Miles said, eyes narrowing. And you put her on the ground. Brutus barked. Sharp. Controlled. The men flinched. Control your animal, the younger one spat. Miles stared through him. You think he's the dangerous one? Then the taller man made a mistake. He stepped forward. Only one step. Miles moved like lightning. One hand gripped the man's collar, spun him sideways, and slammed him face first into the porch beam. His sunglasses shattered. His body went limp. The younger man reached for something pepper spray, maybe. He didn't make it. Miles struck his wrist, then his chest. The man collapsed, gasping. Brutus. Secure. The dog launched, crashing into the taller man as he stumbled to rise. No bites. Just 90 pounds of trained muscle pinning him down, teeth inches from his face, snarling. You move, Miles said. He bites. Carter helped his grandmother sit up slowly. Her breath came in short, shallow pulls. Her fingers shook, but her lips curled into a faint smile. He didn't even raise his voice, she whispered. Neighbors gathered. Phones out. Cameras rolling. That's Miles Garrison, someone murmured. He was recon. On the porch, Miles zip-tied the men's wrists. Thick, military grade. Names, he said flatly. Nathan, the bald one stammered. Nathan Nash. The second man hesitated. Trevor. Sims. Miles turned to Carter. Call the sheriff. Carter dialed, fingers still trembling. 2 men. No IDs. Impersonating enforcement. Assaulted my grandma. They're restrained. Police arrived minutes later. 2 cruisers, sirens dying as they pulled in. Officers stepped out, hands near their belts, then froze. 2 men cuffed. An ex-Marine standing tall. A combat dog at attention. Miles explained everything. Calmly. Clearly. He handed over the IDs. Directed them to the SUV. Brutus sat like a statue beside Nash, watchful. Inside the vehicle, officers found forged paperwork, fake citation books, a binder of target homes, all of them marked with red circles. Elderly residents. Widows. Disabled. The mood shifted. They were scouting vulnerable people, one deputy said. Trying to scare them into handing over cash, another added. And you stopped it, a third told Miles. He only nodded. That evening, the footage hit the internet. It exploded. Veteran with combat dog stops fake HOA thugs from attacking blind grandma. 42 seconds of grainy phone video. Brutus pinning a man. Miles standing silent. The internet lit up. 12 million views in a day. Within 48 hours, the sheriff's department opened an official investigation. They found ties to similar scams across the state. Miles gave one interview, brief and powerful. I don't want fame. I want my mom safe. And if anyone else tries this, they'd better pick another family. HOA groups issued statements. Veterans, organizations hail Miles. Brutus got his own hashtag. Someone even printed T-shirts. HOA? Not on Brutus's watch. Proceeds went to legal aid for seniors. Charges rained down on Nash and Sims. Impersonating law enforcement, assault, elder abuse, attempted extortion, trespassing. Nash got 5 years. Sims, who cooperated, got 2. The ring unraveled. More arrests followed. The porch where Lucille fell became sacred ground. Neighbors left flowers. A plaque was installed. Some heroes bark. Others don't have to. And every evening, Lucille returned to her rocker. Brutus by her side. No leash. No commands. He didn't need them. One afternoon, Carter asked, Uncle Miles, how did you know what to do? Miles didn't look up from his tea. You don't think. You train. And you pray you never have to. And Brutus? Miles smiled faintly. Brutus has better judgment than most men I served with. A few weeks later, the community gathered on that same porch. No politicians. Just neighbors. Veterans. Friends. A bench was unveiled. on the brass plate. In honor of Lucille, garrison in, all who choose courage over silence. Below that, carved into the stone. She was blind, but she saw what mattered long before the rest of us. Miles didn't speak at the ceremony. He just stood beside Brutus, hand on his head, watching his mother rock gently in her chair. The world didn't change overnight, but something shifted. People paid more attention. Scams dwindled. And this story became a reminder. You don't need a badge to be brave. You don't need a courtroom to be right. Sometimes, all it takes is one voice, one growl, one line drawn in the sand, and a family that refuses to back down. The final frame of the viral video, Brutus sitting beside the rocking chair. Text across the screen. They thought she was alone. They were wrong.